You're watching Capital City Sunday.
We're back now with Representative Greta Neubauer, the minority leader in the Assembly. Thanks so much for being with us.
Of course, happy to be here.
So when you take a look back at 2023, what sticks out to you as a legislative accomplishment or a couple legislative accomplishments that you guys have made for Wisconsinites?
So of course, at the beginning of every session, we as the Assembly Democrats sit down and decide what our priorities are going to be for the year. We knew that coming into this session, upholding Governor Evers' vetoes was going to be critically important. We can do that here in the Assembly, but just with only 2 votes. And it's essential that we prevent the Republicans from enacting their far-right agenda, attacking our rights and freedoms, and changing our tax code to really benefit the wealthy even more in Wisconsin. So we're really proud that we were able to do that, and of course we'll continue to do that in the coming months. We also tried to find opportunities to work across the aisle wherever we could. There were a number of times in which we had negotiations with our colleagues. We saw some good policy pass on issues like housing. And then, of course, we put forward our broader policy agenda. We put out over 300 bills as the Democrats this year. Those are on everything from access to affordable health care, to supporting working families to make ends meet, to investing in our schools. And we know that those are the bills Wisconsinites deserve long-term in this state.
Let's talk a little bit about the governor's vetoes this year. A couple major vetoes he had were to the Republican tax plans that were put forward this year. Republicans now have indicated they'll propose another tax plan come January. What does this plan need to look like for Democrats and Governor Evers to be on board?
Yeah. So what we've seen over the course of this year are multiple attempts by Republicans to put forward tax cuts that really benefit the wealthy more than everyone else. When we look at a tax proposal, we are focused on making sure that working families here in Wisconsin are able to make ends meet. And we're talking about those people who are sitting at the kitchen table and looking at their budget and feeling like it's a little tight, or worried about saving for retirement or being able to send a kid to get some higher education. So we are going to make sure that anything that comes forward is focused on those families and those individuals who really need a little extra breathing room. And of course, we do have a significant surplus, so we hope that we're able to make some progress on that issue.
Can Democrats and Republicans come to a consensus where Republicans don't want to, for instance, use that surplus to fund the Child Care Counts program? Obviously, Governor Evers has found a way to fund that a little bit longer. Republicans have put forward a number of bills that are now in the Senate. But is there anything else Democrats and Republicans can come together on that would work for both parties on child care?
I hope so. I think what we've seen from Republicans, unfortunately, are bills that don't address the real challenge that we're facing. And we all hear regularly from small businesses in our districts about challenges with hiring, right? We know that our demographics are going to present challenges in Wisconsin in terms of workforce participation in the years to come. Not addressing the reality of the crisis facing our childcare industry is just going to exacerbate those issues. We know how important it is for Wisconsin's families to be able to have affordable and accessible childcare. So I hope that there's a path forward, and I do think that the organizing and the people across the state of Wisconsin who have and are continuing to make their voices heard on this issue is putting pressure on legislators in this building to take it seriously.
Now to another topic that has defined this session, redistricting, and the lawsuit being considered by the Wisconsin Supreme Court right now. Now, if the court ends up throwing out those legislative maps, all 132 state lawmakers would be up for re-election in 2024. How are Democrats preparing for that possibility?
So we are working very hard to be prepared for any potential legislative maps next session. We know that it's possible that we don't get new maps and we continue to compete on the ones that we are using right now. And then, of course, we know that the court is considering a case on the constitutionality of the gerrymandered legislative maps. We feel confident, optimistic that they are going to move forward because we know that our maps are not constitutional in Wisconsin right now. So I spend a lot of time talking to potential candidates, people around the state, of course, looking at our current lines, but also keeping in mind that they could be different. And it's been amazing to talk to people in every part of Wisconsin who recognize that they could be one of the candidates that helps us win the majority, that puts Democrats back in the majority in the Assembly or the Senate for the first time in many years. And we have all sorts of things that we would really like to see done in this building, responding to the needs of the people of Wisconsin, that just have been ignored because the maps are so gerrymandered and our democracy has not been real in Wisconsin under these legislative maps.
The Speaker is also calling for an audit of DEI positions and programs within all of state government now, following that diversity fight with the universities of Wisconsin. How do you see that playing out within the next year or so?
It's really clear that Speaker Voss is choosing to double down on culture wars instead of addressing the issues that are really facing Wisconsinites. People across Wisconsin believe that everyone should feel welcomed and that they belong, whether that's on campus, in their local community, here in the Capitol. We know that we have significant challenges, equity gaps that we need to address in Wisconsin, across government and across the state. That's what we should be focused on rather than attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in government.
Do Democrats have a plan, or could there be a plan to counteract those efforts in the new year?
We continue to propose policies that will address the equity gaps that persist in Wisconsin, particularly along racial lines. I would point to the challenges in infant mortality and maternal health that we see in Wisconsin, and of course our significant disparities in who's incarcerated here in the state. So we are going to continue to push proactive policy that will give everyone the opportunity to thrive in Wisconsin and push back against Republican efforts both to micromanage the university system and to use diversity, equity, and inclusion as a bargaining chip.
I guess looking ahead now, what other legislative priorities do you or Democrats have going into the new year as we get into the end of session here?
Yeah, so we do know that working families continue to struggle in Wisconsin to make ends meet. And so we're very focused on those kitchen table issues that people across our districts tell us about when they see us at the grocery store or at office hours or otherwise. That's what the people of Wisconsin sent us here to do, is to work across the aisle and to find solutions to the challenges that they face. And so I hope that we are able to do that, again, recognizing that we have this significant surplus. We also are going to continue to work to enshrine and protect Wisconsinites' rights and freedoms here in our state. And that includes the right to vote and to participate in our democracy.
Representative Neubauer, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to be with us.
Thank you.